I will.
All right. All right. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. We're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Development Council meeting, we have a right to know checklist that I must read through every meeting, so just bear with me as I mumble through the checklist. So, all right. In accordance with the Governor's Emergency Order Number 12, pursuant to Executive Order 2020-04, the Goffstown Economic Development Council meeting will utilize the emergency meeting provisions of RSA 91A to conduct meetings through electronic means while preserving, to the extent feasible, the public rights to notice of such meetings and ability to observe and listen contemporaneously. Public access meeting by telephone, call 603-766-JOIN or 5646, participant ID 785645, #. Problems with access. Residents experiencing problems with access during the meeting are asked to call 603-384-3624. Access. Watch the meeting live on Goffstown Television Channel 22 or on GTV Facebook page at www.facebook.com/GoffstownTV. Facebook will not be monitored for public participation during the public comment. Residents interested in participating in public comment should call public telephone access number. Town of Goffstown Right to Know Law meeting checklist. As a chair of the Economic Development Council Committee, due to the COVID-19 outbreak and in accordance with Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12 pursuant to the Executive Order 2020-04, this board is authorized to meet electronically. Please note that there is no physical location to observe and listen contemporaneously to the meeting, which was authorized pursuant to the Governor's emergency order. However, in accordance with the emergency order, this is to confirm that we are A, providing public access to the meeting by telephone with additional access possibilities by video or other electronic means. The town is utilizing the WebEx platform for the electronic meeting. The public has access to contemporaneously listen and, if necessary, participate in this meeting through dialing the following telephone number: 603-766-JOIN 5646 and using the participant code 785645 followed by the #. B, providing public notice of necessary information for accessing the meeting. The town previously gave notice to the public of how to access the meeting using the available number with the posted agenda, providing a mechanism for the public to alert the public body during the meeting if there are any problems with the access. If anybody has any problems with telephone access, please call 603-384-3624. D, adjourning the meeting if the public is unable to access the meeting. In the event the public is unable to access the meeting, we will adjourn the meeting and have it rescheduled at that time. Please note that all votes that are taken during the meeting shall be done by roll call vote. Let's start the meeting by we're taking the roll call attendance, which each member states that they're present. Also, please state whether if there's anyone in the room during this meeting, which is required under right to know law. So, all right, that was a mouthful. So, Chet Bowen, you are muted.
Rookie mistake. Chet Bowen, I'm select board rep, and I'm the only person in the room.
Bonnie
Gavin, and I'm a member, and I am the only one in the room.
Mark Stevens, I am an alternate member, and I am the only one.
Ellen
Vermakowitz, school board rep, and I'm the only one in the room.
All right. Joanne
Duffy, Planning and Economic Development Director, and I'm the only one.
Gregory Rodriguez, Chair of the Economic Development Council, and I'm the only one in the room. And Jonathan Napoli is joining us tonight. Jonathan, you want to just state your relationship to the board?
Hi, John Napoli, candidate presumed to join the council. I am present, and I am the only one in the room.
Thanks, John.
And Greg, I forgot to say that I'm vice chair. I keep forgetting I'm vice chair.
You are vice chair, Bonnie.
I am, thanks.
And excuse me, this is Ellen. I misspoke. I'm just here as a member of the public.
All
There
right,
it is.
thank you.
Yep.
If you aren't speaking, can you just mute your microphone, everybody, just so we don't have background noise?
Could I just ask why Ellen's just there as a member of the public?
Yeah, Alan, I thought you were a member of the board.
I am a member of the board, but I'm not representing anybody. I'm here as a member of the board. Okay, I'm sorry.
All right. So have we had the chance to review the minutes from last meeting and make any corrections? All right. The meetings look fine. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes from
I'll make a
6-3?
motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
All right. Do we have a second of that motion?
I'll second it.
Okay. Mark?
And I was not present.
Okay. Bonnie?
I made the motion, yes.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you second. I'm sorry. Ellen?
I abstain. I wasn't present.
Okay. I accept the minutes.
I do as well.
Okay. All right. Motion carries. Seems like we have a lot of delay right now in in our speaking, so probably just give each other a couple seconds before speaking again. I'm actually going to have John go first. I'm just going to switch the agenda around just a bit, so John can actually get this out of the way. So I'm just going to move the agenda around just a little bit. So John, if you just want to tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in joining the Economic Development Council for the town of Goffstown.
Thanks, Greg. Like I said, my name's John Napoli. I've lived in Goffstown for the past little over 5.5 years with my wife and 2 sons. Looking to get more involved in the community and finding out ways that I can give back and be an active member and active steward of the community. Some background on me: I am currently the interim director of pharmacy at Frisbee Memorial Hospital over in Rochester, and also concurrently the clinical pharmacy manager at Parkland Medical Center down in Derry. So doing some double duties in the pharmacy leadership world. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully joining and learning a lot more about the council and its activities and how we can help. Some perspective that I think that I can bring, from pharmacy leadership is just constantly we're managing a multi-million-dollar drug budget and constantly are making value-based assessments on where we're going to use our resources, how we're going to use them. Pharmacy touches almost everything in the hospital. If anybody that's ever been to a hospital or know people that have been in there, you've gotten medication at some point. So there's a lot that pharmacy interacts with. So that experience being in multidisciplinary teams and working together for process improvement projects, really enjoy doing that. That's one of my favorite part of the job is working with the other disciplines and doing the process improvement work. So a little bit of the perspective that I hope that I could bring. And really looking forward to becoming more involved in the community where the family lives.
Awesome. Thanks, John. Does anybody have any questions for John?
I just wanted to say that it was very impressive. Your resume was very impressive, John. Do you need a motion to accept him as a member?
I believe so.
Ellen has a question.
Yeah,
Ellen, you have a
I know,
question?
but if we make a motion and then have a second, then we have discussion, right?
So the motion should be to recommend to the select board the appointment of John.
Right.
Because this.
It's my motion.
So the motion to recommend John to the select board for the town of Goffstown. Do I have anybody second that motion? All right. Ellen?
Yes, John. Is there a particular segment of the Goffstown business districts that you have a particular interest in or feel that you'd like something needs to be done?
would, I wouldn't say that I would necessarily have an interest in one particular area over another. Really looking forward to learning about what the opportunities are, and getting a better sense of the different, businesses that exist outside of, I think, what myself and I think a lot of folks are most familiar with, some of the Main Street businesses, but no specific area.
Do I have somebody to second the motion?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, you say, okay. I didn't know if I knew. All right, so Ellen,
Hello?
Do you want me to step out for a vote or anything? Or
no, that's fine. No.
okay.
Are we voting?
Yes, we're
Yes.
voting. Yep, Ellen.
Yes.
All right, Bonnie,
Yes.
Chet,
Yes.
Mark. Yeah, I think you said yes already too.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah. My bottom row is
The hand on the button.
I'm trying to like go down the line, and Joanne.
I'd be bad at Family Feud.
I think you'd be great. All right, so it looks like motion carries. John is gonna be submitted to as a candidate to the select board. Thanks, John. Congratulations.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Thank you. You have the option to stay around for the
Johnny.
meeting, or you can wait till full member next meeting. That's completely up to you.
No, I'll stay on. I'm gonna mute myself. I'm gonna turn off my camera too because I'm also meeting, so that nobody.
Okay. All right. Thanks, John. All right.
Thank you.
Good talking to you. All right. All right. So we're going to move on to go back to one now. We're going to talk about COVID-19 funding assistance. I believe this is Joanne. You wanted to talk about this, right? Yeah.
Yes. So we've been receiving a lot of information from the state in the past few weeks regarding the available funding that they have out there. And basically, the PPP money has finished. The Main Street relief money is now finished. I don't want to say finished, but the application process is over. So they're now distributing the checks to the businesses. I know there were quite a few people from Goffstown who did apply and have received funding. There were a few snafus with some of the ways that it all happened because the Department of Revenue Administration is administering the entire process and they don't normally do this sort of thing. So there were some problems with some of the businesses having the DRA actually accept the application and receive it. And then other people received checks that were too high and they were, trying to find out what do I do now. So there was a little lag in the delay of receiving everything, but I made several phone calls for these people, touched base with some people up the state, and it all got worked out.
Yep.
Now the next round of funding that was the information is on the town's Facebook page. I put it up there this morning. They're also releasing funding for people, residents, and I believe it's also possibly for renters. But it's
Joanne, can I just interrupt you for a second? If you aren't speaking, can you just mute your microphone, please? Because it's hard to hear Joanne at the moment. Thank you.
That's okay.
All right,
So
sorry,
the
Joanne.
money that they just came out with is now for housing purposes. So if people are having difficulties paying their mortgage, this money will, actually you have to go through a process and meet the qualifications. But if you qualify, you will receive money to help with mortgage payments if you've fallen behind. And then as of July 6th, they're releasing another pot of money for self-employed individuals. And there are quite a few people in our business community who are self-employed and very, very anxious to apply for this money. So the period in which to apply is July 6th through July 17th. and the top amount of money that would be released to each individual self-employed person is $50,000. They haven't released anything about the requirements as far as, what's needed. It basically is going to follow a similar cycle as the Main Street Relief Fund money, only geared towards self-employed people. I'm noticing people are in a little bit of a more panic situation right now because July 1st has hit and rents are due. Some people did get relief from their landlords for a few months, didn't need to be paying, but now July 1st is due and the landlords are looking for the money. So I have had some calls where the people are very, very stressed out. And, they're business owners that I'm talking about. And it's, I'm trying to help them as best I can and providing all of this information. As soon as I receive it, I'm getting it out there to the business community. But I really feel for these people. I wish that we could do more for them. So we'll see what happens with this next round for the self-employed. These are people with no employees, but could be, business owners along Main Street and in Pinardville as well, where they're just small operations. And so we're, as soon as that information becomes available, I'll be sending it out and then we'll go from there. But I really think that some of these business owners just need someone to talk to and find out, what they can do. They're not really sure of what's actually out there and what's available. So I think just spreading the information has been helpful.
So, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Joanne?
I do.
Okay. Hi, Bonnie. Go ahead.
Joanne, first of all, I wanted to ask you, do you know if there's any local businesses in Goffstown that are going to close their doors because of this COVID, number one? And number two,
go ahead.
Okay,
Sorry.
And number two is there a write-up that we can go around and pass out to the local business owners so that they know what's available to them, so that we can go around business to business and maybe drop something out to them and say, hey, this is available. You need to do it by this date. I mean, I'm happy to go around to the Pinardville businesses and do that.
I can certainly print off the last two funding information on the last two funding articles that I have. Those, like I said, those pertain to households as well as, or I'm sorry, not households, but housing, as well as small one-person business. So we'd have to gear the information towards that type of business rather than covering the entire town. It is on the town's Facebook page, and I did send out information to the people that I have email addresses for. And I did receive lots of questions back from them, or thank you for letting me know, that kind of thing. But again, I know that there's a lot of businesses out there that don't know anything about this. And again, it's the small one-person business owner.
Okay.
These people did qualify for unemployment. Now, whether they went ahead and applied, I have no idea. But the unemployment, I'm not sure. The federal government did mention that they'd be eliminating that extra $600 a week, but I'm not sure exactly when that's happening.
I know exactly when. It's July 31st.
July 31st, right?
They have
Yep.
a month.
Mm-hmm.
Which is scary for these businesses. I know of another business in town who actually started up a GoFundMe page so that he's able to pay his rent. And another business I spoke to, I said, well, could you possibly speak with the landlord about this issue? Because they're even having some issues paying their utility bills. And so, and this happens to be a one-person operation. So maybe if they apply for the mortgage relief for their home mortgage, then that will at least alleviate, and maybe they would be able to pay the utilities on the business itself. It's kind of a juggling act, moving money from one pot to the other.
Mhm.
But they do say to me, I'm afraid I'm not going to make it, but as of now, I haven't heard sort of when this whole thing first started, but they were able to rent the space to a new barber shop that's going in. This is on North Mass Road.
Mhm.
So, so that was lucky because it remain empty.
This is Ellen, if I
Yep.
may.
Go ahead.
I'd be happy to go around the whole village area and distribute information. Joanne, if you put something together, just let me know.
I can certainly make copies and have them available.
I can help in Bernardville too, if that's needed.
Yeah, I'm in Trinidadville. I could do that as well. That's
Okay.
Joanne, I heard a rumor that White Birch, they took over the building that Chiggy's was going out of business. Have you heard anything about them?
No, I haven't.
Because it was awesome. It was so good. I mean, Chiggy's was that was tough shoes to fill, but White Birch was so good.
There are many restaurants, small restaurants like that have still not really opened. Mikado is one of them. The Shaking Crab. There's a sign on their window, but nothing on the actual regular sign. So when I've driven by, it looks like it's closed. So it seems to me that a lot of the smaller restaurants are not really able to open to the 50% requirement. It's not
Right.
for them, and they don't have any space for the outdoor seating.
especially the Shaking Crab parking lot. That's not big at all, and plus the restaurant's already tiny as it is. That's a tough break for them.
Reach out to some of those that have not opened yet and see if I can get a hold of anyone. Even send a message on their Facebook page and see if they answer.
Yeah, it's really a shame. Again, with White Birch, they redid that whole restaurant, and it was looking great. So it's just sad for them, and I'm sure several others as well.
It was such bad timing for them. Just a few weeks after they opened, this happened. So there was also a new flower shop on Main Street, and I'm not sure if they've opened up yet or not. They were in the process of doing that when this hit.
All right. Okay. Do we have any more questions for Joanne regarding COVID-19 funding assistance? It seems like we have some volunteers to help out with that. So thanks everybody for doing that. I'm sure the businesses will be very thankful. Bonnie, go ahead.
How are we going to coordinate that? Because I want to make sure that we do what we need to do, not say we're going to do it, but then not do it. So how do we coordinate that?
Joanne, could you just let us know when that information is available? We could probably pick it up at the town office.
And you'll want to coordinate with each other as to what sections of town, so you don't duplicate your efforts.
Great. Yep.
Take, from here to there on Mass Road or something like that.
Absolutely. Yep.
And Joanne, do you have a list of the people you've already given the information to so we don't duplicate?
Yes. And you'll want to, you could certainly talk to the other business owners, but the information that I have currently is for the self-employed. So you'll want to go into the smaller businesses where there are no employees.
Ellen will do the village. I'll just take a walk one day and go to the small self-employed businesses in the village.
Make sure you wear some sunscreen. It's going to be really hot, okay? All right. So we're going to move on to select board goals for the Economic Development Council or the Economic Development. Chet, you wanted to touch on this, right? Or talk about this?
Yeah. I'd like to, before we even get into that though, I just wanted to let you all know that, Greg and I had a conversation about the start time for this meeting, and trying to make sure we can recruit some more members for the EDC. Just looking right now, assuming Jonathan, which Jonathan, thank you again, but Jonathan joins, Greg's here, Mark's here. I know we have really young families, and 6:30 is just a really invasive start.
Too, so sorry, Chet.
It's okay. But I would think at the end, Joanne, if you don't mind, if we can come back to that, call for a vote about changing the start time. If people agree, that would be really great. Moving on to the sector by sector focus. Everything I'm about to say is with the caveat that this is when things are back to normal. No one is thinking about normality right now. Every business I've talked to, like in my own field, no one's thinking about normal. However, in my own business, I am, because we will get there one day, and being prepared is important. In the sector by sector focus, Greg and I had a conversation about, what do we think is a reality? And we think 10 businesses, if we have a strong economic development council, which Bonnie, I think you mentioned it earlier, so many times we say we're going to do something and we don't. I think I'm just going to put that out there, in a public meeting right now. If we have a strong economic development council, we're thinking 10 businesses at a time, where we all take 2 or 3 of them and actually give them real time and say, what is going on with your business? What can we do to help? Educate them on what we do as a council, and then really take 3 to 6 months. We made the range of 3 to 6 months because, of course, we want to give people as much time as possible. But then again, if we accomplish whatever goals are necessary within 3 months, it'd be great to move on to whatever's next. So that's our idea. And in addition to that, as we all know, there's no exact science to what makes a specific business successful. They all have a different business model and how they run each place, and they're all selling different things or marketing different products. So I think as much as it is us helping them, the more I thought about it, it's really educating ourselves too about what's out there. And I feel like it does nothing but help us become a stronger board, and a board that's more able to articulate the concerns and the issues, and then help with some problem solving. So I would like to do this as soon as possible. However, I know that we need to wait for COVID-19. So I'll respectfully ask that we'll continue to talk about this at each meeting and really talk about what a start date looks like. And then, Greg and I can look at we will ask you, rather than wait for you to volunteer, we will ask you if you can handle this business, and this one. And you can, of course, say no if you really can't. But that would be our goal, so that there's a directive in place. And the other piece I wanted to mention is that when Greg and I were talking, we're really looking at, the Pinardville area, sort of starting out there and then moving our way in. And of course, being transparent about our schedule. One of the things that we're constantly doing, though, that we can't forget, and we'll also talk about each month, is we are 100% behind the bridge coming from the end of the rail trail into Main Street. So what I'm saying is that while we're going to be focusing on those other businesses out in the Pinardville area, we are still focused on getting that bridge through, on in any way we can, helping the ad hoc committee, which is being developed right now. Chairman Adams of the select board is going to run that committee. I've already been in contact with him. Let him know that this board, even with the limited funding we have, maybe we can put some towards looking at what will it cost to build this bridge? I mean, all these things, what's it look like? And the chairman was super appreciative of our work and our efforts. We will do our best not to duplicate the same effort. I think we have a major role in explaining and communicating to the public why this is a good thing for Main Street and for them. And also, we can all admit, when you look at sector by sector businesses, sometimes the best thing that can happen is people from another area come and spend money in your area. That's why everybody wants the Super Bowl. That's why everyone wants this. And we are a small, tiny microcosm of that. But if we have a number of people from Manchester or other areas that are using the rail trail end up coming in and then connecting to Main Street, that could be really helpful for a lot of our businesses. So there's every reason to do this. There's every reason to support it. So we will focus our Main Street efforts on that particular project, and then focus our sector by sector energy on the outside of Pinardville and coming in, is what Greg and I talked about. So any questions on that, concerns or suggestions to do it differently?
Bonnie, go ahead. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. The question that I have on that is there a way that we can even get some public funding, get people involved in the community much like a GoFundMe page, but not quite like that. Can we go out and ask the community for help?
On which one are you talking about, Bonnie? Which project? The sector by sector?
The bridge. The bridge.
A couple of members of the public involved. And I do believe that all funding sources will be discussed, what's legal, what's not legal. I mean, obviously, we don't want to do anything outside of what is, ethical. But that ad hoc committee will be there, and I would encourage anyone from this board, when those meetings are opened up to the public, to attend and have comments. So I don't have the answer, but I know that we will have it soon.
I think one of the important things that we really need to address with these businesses is their pain points. And I know Joanne and I spoke about, scheduling, fee schedules and stuff like that. We really want to encourage growth in Goffstown, and the different fees associated. I know every town has fees, and we don't have a state income tax, so a lot of these things are fee dependent. But we have to make it friendly for businesses to come, just as anything else is for residents and whatever. But and I'm not saying I don't know if that's a pain point. I'd love to know if that's a pain point for businesses in the area, because I know 10 months ago we spoke about this as pad ready sites, ready to go for economic growth, and I can almost bet money on it. That's going to be one of the things that they're going to talk about, and this is a concern. And I would hope that when we bring these concerns back to the council, then check and bring it to the select board. Maybe we can see some change happen with that.
Yeah, I agree, and I can tell you, Greg, with some confidence that there are some pain points in being a brand new business coming into town, and what they find is some surprise fees. That is not because, however, that Joanne is not doing her job or that we don't have.
No, not at all.
The pain points are there because you're coming in, you want to start a business, you're in a hurry. It's a small community. We do have a number of 40-something individuals. That's our median age, so the customer base is there. People love it.
Right.
But then there's these fees that they maybe weren't expecting. And what we can do as a board, I think, might be just reaching out to them, trying to get them to come in and providing as much information up front as we possibly can. I know that Joanne, I forget what business that was, but I believe they came in and then all of a sudden there was this major sewer bill that their landlord in the building did not explain to them. And then you had to go explain that to them. And of course, that's a pain point. So I think communication to new businesses, saying not only do we want you, but this is exactly what you can expect when you come into Goffstown, makes us a lot more friendly than maybe historically we have been.
Yeah.
Lost an ice cream parlor business that was going to be run by a resident of the town, and in the round building in the parking lot behind the town hall. And I thought that would have been a really cute place.
Great spot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
right next to Ace.
Yeah. And then all the fees came due, especially the sewer fees.
Yeah.
And, it just became a breaking point.
And I'm on the sewer commission. I'm so sorry, Ellen. I'm on the sewer commission, and we talked about the fees, how the fees are communicated, and there's been some improvement there. So it's a lot easier now for someone coming in to look at the sewer fees. And Tim, who's on this council with us as a member of the planning board, was a big proponent of that, getting those fees out there ahead of time, making sure people know what they are and why they exist. So that's one example of multiple improvements we can make along the way. Again,
Are
they abnormally high there, the fees?
It's called an accessibility fee, and it's $5,000. So if you were to build, say for instance, a single family home, it's $5,000. If you build an accessory apartment with the single family home, or say you have an existing single family home and you're already hooked up to sewer, and then you want to add an accessory apartment, and it's over 650 square feet, where our town ordinance allows 800 square feet. You're charged a $5,000. No, I'm sorry, I take that back. It's a little less than that because it's smaller, but you're charged a large fee for an accessory apartment. If you have, say, this ice cream or just an apartment in general, $5,000 fee. So it gets expensive.
Hey, I can speak on the accessory single family home, my personal experience. So So fees are very near and dear to me at the moment. And I can just imagine for businesses coming in, it just doesn't encourage growth. It doesn't encourage. I'm all about paying fair share, but I think it needs to be a fairer rate, in my opinion. So, Ellen, I know you had
I guess that
something
would
to say.
ultimately depend on how many hookups there are and what the repairs are. In general, or is the system in good shape, or is there a lot of repairs that need to be done, and that's why fees are high at the moment? Or?
The sewer commission has to pay capital improvement fees to the city of Manchester as part of their contract. So this $5,000 accessibility fee goes towards the capital improvements.
Well,
Ellen,
it's
I'm
kind
gonna
of
let
a
you go now.
double-edged sword, right? You want town sewer, but then on the flip side, obviously the fees that go with that seem to be high, but I don't know. I don't know what shape the system's in, so I'm assuming that it's fair, but definitely a tough pill to swallow. But that's the catch-22 with utilities, I suppose. You want it, but then obviously everybody's got to pay for the infrastructure. And if you think about it, if you were not able to hook up to sewer, you'd be looking at what, $5,000 to $10,000 to put in your system at home that's not on it. So it's tough.
But if it's already existing, that's the thing too. That's the problem.
Yeah, no, yeah, I get it. I think they probably, what that number is. I don't know I don't know the equation behind it. I'm sure they'd have to. It's got to be public record. They can't just throw the fee out there. So
It is public record, and let me because I know Ellen's been trying to go for a while, so I'm just going to say this really quickly. I think what we should do for this discussion is wait until Tim returns to the board and maybe ask him some of these questions, because he has all those answers, and he does. That guy does not miss a detail, so he'll know the answer to your questions. So maybe when he comes back, we can put it on the agenda.
Good idea. Thanks, Chet.
Sure.
Ellen, go
Can
ahead.
I? Okay. I keep writing down my questions as you guys are talking. So right now we have, as economic development, we have the sector project, which I'd like to ask, could we have developed for all of us as we go out to businesses a list of specific questions to ask?
Like focus group type questions?
So that we are getting consistent feedback. Doesn't mean we can't go off that depending on the business, but to have something to work from would be good. Also, what kinds of things could, not knowing what the business's needs are, but what can the Economic Development Council do to help people?
I can answer that. So, Ellen, we're sort of an extension of all the town boards in one way or another, and this is our focus. So really the way that it will work is we find out maybe a common theme among certain businesses. And what we do is then we communicate that to the select board, not even necessarily through me, but certainly through me as well. Then the select board looks at, okay, where is our town? What are the ordinances here? Where are the fees? What can we fix to make us more friendly? And depending on the nature of the board that year, it'll either be a board that supports that or does not. And really what the economic development's job is to always advocate for a more business-friendly community. So we're a lot of what we do is information gathering, letting the business know and following through that we are going to get that message from those businesses to the select board and go from there. That's one. So I want to answer your other questions too, though. Did I miss something that you asked?
I'm keeping going down my list here. Okay, that was the sector question. The bridge project, which I've always been fascinated with for many, many, many years there. Could we, there's a couple things that came into my mind immediately when you mentioned it, and I'm thrilled to see someone working on this. Might want to involve the Main Street program in this. And it would bring, going to have to provide a place to put bicycles when they get to the village. And my other concern was parking. If people are going to go there to go toward Manchester and Penardville, they're going to need a place to park a car.
Let me make sure I understand. So you're saying if someone wants to park on the Main Street section, cross that bridge and go the opposite way?
right?
Yeah, that's a good thought.
But
Yep.
people also coming in from anywhere are going to need a place to put their bikes. So I don't know how that will have to be addressed.
Mhm.
I know I've heard some people having concerns. Actually, I think I saw it on a recent Facebook. If there's going to be any kind of bridge that concerned about the view,
Yep.
something about that. Okay.
And let me just speak to that quickly, because I know you're going down your list. On that one, I know for a fact that part of the engineering is creative engineering to address that. And I don't know what that means or how much that would cost or if it's viable, but that concern is definitely heard. I know that people love the pumpkin regatta and they love being able to stand there and watch as people come in. You know, what can we do? And that is absolutely something that's addressed. And it may just come down to weighing the view issue over the economic impact of having it or not having it. That is a possibility.
I hear you. My view has always been I wanted a walking replica of the Trestle Bridge to block everything. So I guess I'm throwing that idea out of my mind now, so we can actually see what's going on in the river and down to the dam. My other one, it sounded like, were we to talk about almost a third project, and that is developing, I don't even know what to call it, somehow becoming more business friendly and inviting throughout Goffstown. I know years ago, I know someone who went to the Economic Development Council looking for help in bringing a business in and got no help at all. I mean, they were on their own. But you're talking about fees, but there were also permits and whatever. Is there anything we can do to make it welcoming for business to want to come to Goffstown?
Yeah, and there's plenty we can do. And I think that if you watch some of the planning board meetings or some zoning meetings or things, you can see where we may be able to make some subtle changes in our approach and our availability of information to new businesses coming in. And that conversation has already started at very low levels. I've talked to the town administrator about it. And I've also, we are so lucky to have, I mean, Tim's, I don't know why, I think Tim doesn't do these meetings, but when we get back into our in-person meetings, that's a real great resource for us to ask, you know, what's happening at the planning board level? How are we treating potential businesses as they come in? Is there a way that we can make the process easier? And then, of course, as an economic development council, we need to step up and say, if there's a way and we can help, then we actually have to follow through and help. I don't think this is the first time that conversation has come up, but I certainly have a personal goal of an intention of making sure that we follow through this time.
There's something better than the voices.
I like hearing the notion of follow through.
Yeah.
Taking action ourselves, gathering information and following through with it, I think is vital to being successful. So I think it's also, I think
it's being successful is making the businesses feel heard at the same time. I think that's the most important part of this whole thing, is because that's where the change comes from. If there's anything, you know, just gauging the temperature of the country right now, people are talking, and we want to make sure that their voice is heard just on this level of the Economic Development Council. All right. Do you have any other anything else we want to add to the sector by sector focus?
No, thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right. We already talked to John, so we're going to move on from that. And Ellen, going back to you, we're going to talk about Pinardville beautification.
There we go. I'm back, right?
Yep.
I don't know how many others are, but I have joined quite a while back the Pinardville Community Facebook page. And there seems to be a few people, there was quite a long discussion among them on Facebook about doing something for beautification in Pinardville. Now, Pinardville's pretty long. I mean, I don't know from where to where they were talking. Okay, it is a 3-lane road, and much of it, it's wide. It's not like a country road that you can drive through, but they were talking about it, and I didn't know if there was anything we as an economic development could encourage them or support their efforts. Who's been active in the community to get a little organization put together themselves as volunteers with businesses. You come up with a little plan and see, you know, let others know, like the economic development selectmen or whomever, and see if others can help them get something going. I didn't know how we would feel about this. Excuse me. And the other thing that I've noticed for Pinardville is a lot of discussion about the condition of some of the roads. It certainly does impact the businesses in the area. And I didn't know if there's anything we can do to help that out.
Mr. Chair, do you mind if I tackle a
Go
couple of
ahead.
those?
Yeah, I was going to ask what you thought of that.
So the beautification part, there is something that we can do, which is communicate a tax break that we have in place for businesses that choose, and Joanne, you may be able to speak to this with more, you know, gusto than I, because you understand it better. But there is a tax break that can be applied for businesses that choose to make, I think it's basically to beautify the outside of their business and make it look good. Go ahead, Joanne.
To improve the facade and the outside area of their buildings. There is a qualification as far as how much money they're spending. So that is a criteria as far as whether they qualify for the program. And there's two sections of town where this applies. One is Pinardville along Mast Road, and the other is the village area along Main Street. The program is administered by administration and approved by the select board. Ultimately, there's somebody came in, I think, to your last hearing,
Yep.
Asking for a building on Main Street. They're doing some renovations to that building and improving the facade. And I believe they qualified and were approved. So it saves the way it works is you take the value, the assessment of your building before you've started and say it's $100,000. And then the assessment at the end of what it would be based on the work that you've put into it. And the taxes are frozen, not the taxes, I should say, the value of the property of the building itself is frozen in time, for usually it's a period of 5 years for that period of the improvements. So you're locked in before the improvements are actually made for 5 years on your assessment, which in fact then affects your taxes.
That's good to know. Would it be you they'd contact or Derek?
Either one. We both have information on it. Ultimately, it does go through his office, but I can certainly funnel that through to the proper.
What was the other thing? And I don't know about the roads. There seems to be a lot of disgruntledness.
Yeah, so I can certainly speak to that. So what can sometimes be frustrating, but also should provide a lot of comfort, is that there's a process in place already for these kinds of things. The issue is that not everyone has followed the process as they should, right? So here's what we should do. As an economic development council, if you are getting, Ellen, a lot of people, and you're hearing this, we talk as a council, we decide that we want to put together a communication to maybe the select board. And then I represent us at the select board with a letter or some sort of statement about how we'd like to see Pinardville addressed. Then I will get peppered with questions, as I should, about, you know, how does that affect taxes? How does that affect other projects that are going on around town? Where and when do we prioritize this? And my answers will certainly be, you know, both as a member of the select board, but also as the rep on the EDC council. It's always a balance between, you know, these roads have to be good for these businesses to thrive. Right. And these businesses pay taxes. So the more businesses we have there paying taxes, the better we are. But we don't really contract out a whole lot, and there are a lot of competing priorities with projects. But we have not, as far as I can remember, Joanne, since I've been on this board, I don't think we've ever put together an official communication that the select board rep brings to a select board meeting. And goes, and then what happens is when I get peppered with questions and become very insecure about my answers, then I come back to the board and then we discuss, okay, this is what happened at the meeting. Where do we go from here?
Is it okay if I contact these people and share this information with them and kind of ask them to keep working on it and to contact us and that kind of thing?
Absolutely. As with anything, nothing gets done if no one's talking out loud. And I can't think of a time that the EDC has been all that loud in the past few years.
Get loud.
Not because we could be loud. We could be
Get
loud.
loud.
These are great questions, and this is really what we
I've
should be
never
talking
had a problem not being loud, so.
I gathered that a little bit.
I will get back to these people on both those fronts, the beautification. I mean, they were just thinking of wouldn't it be nice to be able to put American flags out? But they can't because they don't have the poles. They can't put them on telephone poles. Haven't been able to do that for many years. And they don't have the poles like we have in the village after that big renovation project. So I thought I'll bring it forward and see what we might be able to do to help them. And so thank you. And I will get back to these folks.
At the very least, we can give them voice, as the chair said earlier.
Very
So-
good.
Chad, I think that's a good sign that people actually want to take some action, because I think it was probably one of Charlie's favorite subjects. There was a group that came into Bernardville, right? And they were essentially ran out of town. But how long ago was that, Joanne? I guess,
The planned
times that there's been a lot of turnover in that neighborhood. There's a lot of younger families. So, perhaps, they'd be a little bit more receptive to something like that now. Not that we have to go that route. It can be more of an internal thing, but just the fact that people are expressing that concern and looking at, improving that area as far as it goes aesthetically, that's a good sign, because no disrespect, I think the demographics 10 years ago even is a lot different than it is now in Bernardville. So love to see the young people come in. It's a great neighborhood. So it definitely has potential to kind of be a booming little spot there.
Yeah.
I agree.
If I may add one more thing, I think as this council is regarding all of Goffstown, I like the idea of approaching everything we do as addressing the entire town, not one section and not another, or this other, because historically we've got like 4 different sections of the community plus outlying. But I like the idea of approaching any project we do as a total Goffstown project. So I like the discussion I'm hearing, so thank you.
Yeah, I think if we keep, voicing our opinions on this, and the neighborhood does as well, you figure Public Works did a great job in the downtown area. I'm sure it took a few years to plan. And with that said, I think I don't necessarily know that it set them back as far as paving other roads, but I think they're still trying to develop their 5-year and 10-year plan. So the earlier we can plant the seed on saying, well, maybe let's have some sidewalk improvement along almost the entire stretch of Bernardville or certain sections of it, we can start to budget for it.
The
Okay.
DPW department does have a road plan.
Yes, they do.
I'm sure if there were questions that we had, Adam Jacobs would be more than willing to attend and answer.
That'd be good if you can get him. If you want to get him to attend. I don't know, next meeting or the meeting after, but that'd be great. Just in the interest of time, and I know we all have, families and stuff like that, I'd like to move on to the next subject. So Joanna, if you want to give us your economic development update.
So I just wanted to advise you about 3 projects. The Mast Road Crossing project was approved last week. That was the 41 residential 55 and older condos across from the villa. Next week, we have a planning board meeting, and the 91 unit Factory Street project, the mill buildings, that is on the agenda. They're requesting an extension of a 1-year time for their approval. And we're also hearing it's been continued quite a bit, the garden center on Mast Road across from the Irving station is on the agenda again next week. So
What's across from the Irving?
the garden center.
Oh, okay.
And I think that will be ready for approval. It's taken a while with that. So that's what's happening with that. And then Chet wanted to talk about the time of the
Just
start.
before Chet does that, I just want to, I don't think I recognized Gail Lebrecq at the beginning of the meeting, so I don't think I called her. Sorry, Gail. I did see you in the bottom row. I apologize. So I know Chet and I spoke before this, and just to make it more family friendly, and Chet, I don't think you mind me speaking about this, but I think it'd be best, in my opinion, to vote to move the meeting to 6 o'clock instead of 6:30. I don't know if anybody has any objections to that. No. Okay. Does anybody want to put that in the motion? Put in the motion. Anybody second that motion?
5:30.
5:30. Okay. Well, we can start at 6. Let's take baby steps. What do you think, Bonnie?
I'll make the motion to move the meeting.
Okay. Does anybody second that motion?
Second.
All right. Ellen.
Yes.
Okay. Gail.
Yes.
Okay. Chet.
Yes.
Joanne.
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
All right, Bonnie, and I believe you second. I think Bonnie's gone. I see it. Caution say. It looks like the motion carries. We are moving this meeting to 6 o'clock. Yay.
Yay.
Chet, did you want to add anything else regarding moving the meeting?
No, that's great. Thank you.
All right. So I think that's all for our agenda. Bonnie, go ahead. I mean, Joanne, go ahead.
Before you adjourn, so just as a follow-up, I will get the copies ready of the flyers and contact you, and also put together a list of businesses that have already received it and the list of the businesses that I also have that have not.
Okay.
And then you can coordinate amongst yourselves of who's going to cover which sections.
I just have a quick question on that. How are we going to know that the self-employed, the individual businesses, how are we going to know that?
Going to be tough. Going by the list, we might be able to at least narrow it down. I don't know. I mean, there's nothing that indicates to me that this is a one-person business, because everyone may have an employee that is noticeable.
So it's a one-person business, and that's it, like the vacuum cleaner guy over on the side street, that kind of person. Okay.
And it could be, I believe it could be its owner. I don't know the word I'm trying to find. Owned by the owners themselves. So if there's two owners to the business, I think that still qualifies.
So an individual instead of an LLC.
It's just, they can't have employees. It's like owner run, and that's it. So there's some places out there, it's just like you say, it's hard to know which is which.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
All right. Anybody second that motion?
Ellen?
Yep. Ellen did. Okay. Mark?
Sounds good to me. Yes.
All right. Joanne?
Yes.
Bonnie, yes. Gail?
Yes.
All right. Chet, you already
Yes.
seconded it. Yep. All right. Motion carries. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks, John, for attending. And we look forward to having you next month as a full member for the Economic Development Council. Have a great night, everybody.
Before.
Thank you.
Happy 4th of July. Yes. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th, everyone.